back to the next episode of...
I thought you said you weren't going to do that.
Yeah, I thought I wasn't, but turns out they ended up saying the exact same intro.
Just kind of happened.
We just can't ever
Happened
change.
naturally. My name's Stephen. Welcome back. This is Walker.
Yeah, I've already said something.
Yeah. And introducing for the first time, we have Dana. Would you like to say hi?
I'm vegan.
I'm 100% sure we just peaked there, but I do not care at all. That is the greatest way anyone has ever introduced themselves.
Oh, it's also true.
That's what makes it so funny.
Oh god, that was amazing.
Oh.
So
So,
straight into it.
yeah, jump straight into it. We're going to be discussing Game of Thrones today, everyone's favourite sitcom.
Oh yeah,
From-
Good old rom-com.
It's got a bit of everything there to be said,
it's
you know?
really more of a romance.
Bit of a murder mystery, bit of...
Who done it?
Did you guys watch that BBC show called Help Me Find My Parents? That could be like Jon Snow's section of like reunited with my parents.
It's also a bit of a how to catch a predator.
How to Catch a Predator.
Alright.
What's a bit of embarrassing bodies? It's got a bit of everything for everyone, I reckon.
Yeah, it's really the perfect all-rounder show.
But in all serious, we're actually going to be discussing most of the major plots in Game of Thrones and some of the biggest things that happened up until season 6, episode 6,
So about halfway
where we
through.
stand, about halfway through this season.
Yeah,
So
it's like 10 episodes.
yeah.
So that's fair warning on your spoilers.
Yeah, fair warning. If you haven't seen up to that point, then you should probably get on it and then come back.
If you don't, yeah, well, sucks to be you. Alright, we'll start off with not really the most prominent, but obviously the biggest part of season 1.
The biggest shock that kind of happens.
The benetting.
The benetting, as it is now classically known. Yeah, so what do you reckon about this, guys? Did any of you guys see it coming? Did you read the books before or after?
I've only seen the show. I haven't read any of the books.
Yep.
So to me, like, it was still a surprise, but like pretty much by that point, I think I saw it when season 2 was already like halfway through.
Yep.
Or even maybe after that. So a lot of people had pretty much told me about it, but it was still like the way that it kind of went down was pretty shocking.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely had the shock factor. I started reading the books after I started watching the series, so I'd already seen it like on the show, but then reading it in the books has just like brought so many more feelings.
Yeah,
It was
so
just
many rewatchability.
Yeah, it was so much more in depth and like having to relive it basically just kind of sucked.
Yeah.
I was more sad that Sean Bean was dead again.
Yeah.
Every
like
damn
honestly, I
time.
thought this was gonna be his one chance.
I was just waiting for an Urukai to pop up in the background and shoot him with an arrow.
It's so accurate. Jesus. Oh,
But
poor Sean.
yeah, like I think the thing that sucks about it, I'm kind of like everyone else here. I witnessed it first on the show, and after I finished season 1 of the show, I was like, oh my god, I have to go read these books, and I read all the way up to on date with where the books are at the moment. So, but yeah, I did have that original feeling of seeing it live for the first time on the big screen, which is shocking. I mean, you just think he's going to get out of it. At first of all, you don't even think he's going to be sentenced to death, surely. You think maybe he's going to the wall, but then Joffrey kind of, earned our hearts.
I can't even, it was so long ago that I watched it.
Yeah.
Do we know Joffrey was that much of a dick at that point?
He hadn't been crowned king yet at the point. What happened was Littlefinger pretty much betrayed Ned, and Ned had figured out that Joffrey wasn't a legitimate son of Robert.
Yeah.
And
so he was trying to prove.
Yeah,
that.
he had a letter from Robert, and Cersei ripped it up.
But
And
I mean, because I know a lot of what happened with Joffrey really being a dick was a lot to do with after he married Sansa.
Yeah.
And like him shooting the hall.
Yeah,
with
like you said, this is kind of the first big hallmark of Joffrey being evil.
I could have sworn there was a part where he like went to not do it, but then was like, "Oh, off with your head."
Yeah, well, pretty much what happened was that he was talking in front of all the people, and Cersei advised him to send Ned to the wall, and he kind of ignored that, and he just said, "Yeah, this man's a traitor," and he'll.
How different would the show have been if he had been sent to the wall?
We'd have
We'd still have Ned and Sean Bean, damn it. Poor Sean Bourne.
Sean Bourne.
Scene Bean.
So, well then, if that's pretty much all we want to say on that, we'll move on to the next big hallmark event, which in my opinion, this is kind of what made the show spiral into the worldwide attention, which is, of course, the Red Wedding.
Now, I don't think we're doing these in correct chronological order.
Definitely not.
We're just going by
We're just
what
jumping
we've
all
written
around the
down.
place here.
So,
My story with the Red Wedding is kind of shitty.
I'm going to say you cried.
Oh, you got spoiled?
I cried a lot.
Everyone cried.
Oh, okay.
Like I kind of got spoiled, but not really, because I was reading the book still at this time.
Yeah, but you weren't
And-
up to it yet?
I wasn't up to it, but I caught up to it. I
Yep.
was up to date with the series as it was coming out. And then the next thing I know, I'm reading this chapter, and it's up to where it is in the series. And that chapter was the Red Wedding chapter.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like zoned out halfway through,
Yeah.
sort of things.
Kind of like, it's
so
one of
I
those where
was-
you're reading the page, like, fuck,
Yeah.
did I actually just read that
Yeah,
page?
yeah.
Or,
And
or was
then-
I thinking about cats?
Yeah.
She's thinking about
And then
veganism, mate. Come on.
Or I just laugh in that scene when you were speaking, Dan, your boyfriend literally just walked in and put a slab of VB in the fridge.
That's what he does.
And he was doing it like a
That's what
ninja.
he-
He's the baby
Anyway,
ninja.
continue.
But yeah, so I kind of like zoned out, and then I realized what was happening. So I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on? So I had to reread the whole chapter the whole time. Like I'm
Yep.
just ugly crying. Like there's snot everywhere. Like I'm just sobbing. And
Like
then my
Kim Kardashian
yeah,
crying?
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
That's
And
ugly
then
Yeah.
cry.
and then my friend messaged me the next day. He was like, "You will not believe what just happened on Game of Thrones." And it's like, man, I fucking know. I read it. I just read it.
I just
like
read
I
this
can't
shit.
believe it. So then I watched it and I cried even more.
Mm-hmm.
Like went out to my dad. I was like, "Stop watching while you still can." Like
Don't get your
you
hearts
can
crushed.
turn back now.
You
and
ran
it'll
out
be
of the
fine.
house, dropped to your knees, arms raised, screaming to the sky. No.
I
You
was-
blew it up.
You idiot.
You're idiots.
I was honestly almost at that point. Like, it was-
I think the biggest part for
Terrible.
me that was so...
Yeah, how did you experience it, Walker?
Well, I mean, mine was entirely watching the TV show.
Yeah.
And I was watching it, I was binge watching the hell out of the show. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'd finished all the way up to that point. The part that really, like, obviously I didn't cry.
Yeah, definitely
The
not.
part that really stuck out to me was when they grabbed the back of, like, Rob's new wife and, like, pulled her and then started stabbing her stomach.
Yeah.
That was like, whoa.
Which is obviously, that was a massive turn for the show as well, because that character didn't exist in the books.
yeah.
Mm,
yeah.
So yeah, he got married to another girl. I can't remember the name off the top of my head.
What wasn't it? Sansa's friend?
Yeah, it was someone like that. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, like I said. But
Jean Paul? No.
Oh.
No,
That sounds like
she
an
had,
X-Men.
She had a different... Yeah,
Yeah.
she had a different kind of part in the story, like in the
Okay.
books. But she was very, very irrelevant in the show.
I remember, like, when we were watching that episode, that I kept thinking that the chick that he was marrying, because she was so rushed into the show. It was
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
no, like, in the space of, like, 3 episodes,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were in
she
love.
came in and-
I swear, I was like...
her
I'm
name
not
was
watching
Jane
it.
Westerling.
Is that in the book or the...
That's in the book, yeah.
Okay. In the show, I kept thinking she was going to be like an assassin working for someone. Like, I thought, like, they're going to try to kill Rob. That's what they do. They try to kill the
Yeah.
Starks. But I kept thinking, I was like, this chick has got to be, like, evil.
Mm-hmm.
And then she died, and I was like, oh, shit, I was wrong.
Well, there was a lot of theories saying that she was doing something in the background because she was always sending those letters and we
Yeah.
never know really who to. And Tywin was sending a lot of letters at the same time, which we ended up learning was going to Roose Bolton.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go back and look at it, the most annoying thing about it is there's so many clues for a viewer and stuff. Like when you go back and watch it, there's so many clues that the Red Wedding's going to happen. For instance, Jaime Lannister is let go by Roose Bolton at the same time that's all going on, and you
Yeah.
kind of just let it slip through your mind. You're like,
I think you're just caught up in the major, like how much
In what's
events
going on
are
in the
happening,
story,
gravity
yeah.
of all of that, and like,
It's a lot of
oh
stuff.
crap, like Jamie's been released and Rob's getting married, and like you don't
Yeah.
piece it together.
yeah,
You're
you just see it so happy because
enthralled by the
we're
show.
so used to as viewers these kind of linear happy storylines where the good guy always wins. And now every time I hear the Reigns of
Yeah.
Castamere, a tear,
Yeah.
single tear rolls down my cheek,
Yeah.
just thinking about my beloved Rob. But no.
Yeah, no,
Good.
George R. Martin.
George Jar
definitely-
Jar Binks.
George Jar Jar Martin.
They're both pieces of shit. So.
Hey mate, George R. R.
I'm
Martin
sorry,
can walk
George,
into
I
any.
didn't mean that.
I
Please
think-
keep writing.
Apologise to Jar Jar right now.
Me so sorry.
Oh my god.
Yeah, no, he definitely like flipped that whole like the good guys always
Scenario.
win sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's
on
kind of
its
changed
head,
the
like-
genre.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone can
absolutely.
write a kind of Lord of the Rings story ever again.
I-
That's
I-
okay, Danny. You can go let your cat out.
There's I think you said it best to me outside of the podcast, Stephen. it's very much like it's like a chess game where every step the good guys take, they have to pay a price.
Yeah.
And it is like that. Like the Red Wedding, we got small amount of bliss with Rob, and then it completely was like 3 steps backwards.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's such a different way of telling a story because the characters actually pay for their mistakes. Say, for example, I love Lord of the Rings, and I'm not shitting on Lord of the Rings by any standard here, but it's different in the way that Frodo makes a mistake by trusting Gollum, right? And it almost costs him his life. But
Sam's life.
In Sam's life, exactly. But it doesn't, you know, like at the end of the day, they still get with it. But Rob makes a mistake, you know, he marries the wrong woman, he falls in love by complete chance and accident, he breaks his oath to Walder Frey, and he pays with it for his life, and his mother's life, and his wife, and unborn child's life,
and his direwolf's
life, and his army's life.
Of his army, like most of his army.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing really...
The King in the North.
I did think that was another thing at that point as well. That was when they were really starting to shape up Rob to look like a contender for the throne.
Definitely. I mean, even in the wedding scene, there's a scene where his wife comes up to him and says, like, oh, we're going to name the baby, like, little Ned and stuff, and you just feel like it's a happy moment.
Warm and fuzzy moment, and then they tear you to pieces.
And fucking the reins of Castamere. Come on, and you know some shit's going down.
Yeah, no, that was a whole messed up.
But to cross an ocean now, we're going to talk about... That's a completely natural segue.
There was nothing unnatural about that. We are not attempting to segue into something else. That is an obvious...
Hey, you know how Rob's a character? Another character is Daenerys.
You are not wrong. That is true.
You know, can anyone give me her full name?
Oh, Jesus. The Breaker of Chains.
Mother of Dragons.
Unburnt.
First of her name.
The blonde hair.
The blonde
hair. The lady.
I was just asking for Daenerys Gemma Targaryen.
Daenerys.
What is it? Daenerys Wulfric Brian Albus Dumbledore.
Wulfric Brian.
Alright. So anyway, moving on. The point is
Daenerys Stiff Nipples Targaryen.
Daenerys gets her dragons.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big.
She certainly does.
That's a massive.
Wish I could get
that was
Daenerys
not
dragons.
That was not a synonym for her nipples.
Mine was.
Or was it?
Okay.
So what do we think about Daenerys on the round table?
I'm a fan.
Oh, thanks for that in-depth analysis there, Walker.
I like it. She's a good dude.
That's cool, bro.
She has blonde hair.
I definitely smoke a blunt with her. Light up a jibby.
All right. I'm not a huge fan of the Targaryens, mostly because of her brother is such a dick. But obviously, I don't know the extent of the background of the family, the books.
I do not know the entire Targaryen lineage.
How dare you?
Aegon the Conqueror, I would be so ashamed of you.
How dare you don't spend all your day on the wiki. Look, I haven't read the books, and you've told me that the books go a little more in depth. So that's obviously something I'll have to do. But I'm a fan of Daenerys. Yeah, just there's the kind of, you know, I'm a fan of hers.
It's pretty undone.
And I'd like to see her not turn evil, as you've so adamantly stated.
I'm telling you, she's turning evil. I think she's going to be the Mad Queen. But
that's just it makes sense. But yeah, so I mean, as far as it goes, I'm a fan, and I want to see her march to Westeros, especially given the current season where she now once again controls the Dothraki people, and seems to have Drogo.
More so than last time.
Yeah, more of them, and has Drogon on her side. This time, where he's actually not Charizarding and is actually listening to her.
It seems like where we're at in the story at the moment that the Marine storyline has kind of run its course a bit, and it feels like we're definitely, with the Greyjoys coming towards Daenerys, we're definitely going to get something happening there.
The Marine got really stagnant with the whole, they don't like you, they like you, and then more people don't like you.
I think it will be important, because I think if she does eventually come to Westeros and even take a castle or something like that, I think that will play into it, because I think we've proven that she's not she is a true conqueror and leader, but she's not a true ruler and politician. She's not good at that kind of stuff, which I think will come into play with her character towards the end of the show.
Yeah, I definitely think Tyrion will have a big hand in doing that.
But will she like we've seen she has listened to him, but how long will she kind of listen to him if she kind of descends into this craziness? Like, could we see a scenario where where she becomes the villain by killing Tyrion.
Yeah,
you know?
That would be crazy.
Especially if she finds out like what Tyrion did, like making the deal with the slavers
Yeah.
behind her back.
Yeah, behind her back.
Because that's
Yeah.
exactly like the opposite.
Yeah,
of what
I
she
can.
wanted. Like,
Yeah.
like I think because she is so young, because she's only like 16 or something in the books.
Yeah.
She's 13
she-
in the first book.
Yeah, yeah.
Turns 14 when she's getting banged by Aquaman.
Yeah. But yeah, no, like because she is such like a young person character sort of thing.
In Aquaman, Jesus. I'm sorry. I just couldn't hold that in. Oh. Sorry,
Like
continue.
I don't think that she will be as like poised and mature and whatever as like a ruler kind of should be.
Well,
so I reckon she's gonna flip her shit when she finds out.
She's shown that though in the fact that she can't let go of things that she's been brought up to believe. She adamantly hates the Starks, despite the fact that they've been obliterated.
Yeah.
She hates the Lannisters. Same sort of thing. They've taken massive casualties. But
She
refused to
has
let
been
go.
spoon-fed this information, so she's pretty much up to date with what's going on in the world of Westeros.
Yeah, and but that's what I
less.
mean. Like, and that comes into play with her being the younger character, despite the on-screen doesn't show that as well.
Yeah.
That it definitely is meant to be a mentality thing, and she doesn't really have that because she's just blindly following what she's heard before.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that goes, do we think that she will? That you don't think she'll rule? What do you think, Dana?
I honestly don't know. I haven't.
It's a theory, mate. You're supposed to just take a guess.
No, like I don't know.
Nobody knows
I
yet. It's
Flip a
not
coin.
there.
I haven't thought like that far into it. Like I'm just
Take it as it comes, yeah.
So you
I'm just
don't
keen to
live,
see.
breathe, and eat Game of Thrones.
Yeah. like I said, like I personally think that that's probably where her natural arc will progress,
Yeah.
and I think like that would be the George R. R. Martin way to write it. But I'm not like completely opposed to her ruling at the end. Like I would like that as well if he did it in a tasteful way. I just think
but it's
I
not
think it would be a bit
everything
underwhelming if we saw her build up this entire time. A couple things go wrong, but she fights through it and just takes over the kingdoms. I think that would kind of be a bit lazy storytelling to an extent.
There's gonna be like.
Well, as far as George goes,
As far as George goes, yeah.
There's gonna be like a few things that have got to happen on the way.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, that something's gonna happen. Like I reckon she's gonna lose at least one of her dragons.
yeah.
At one point.
I think
like
she'll-
that's gonna be a big game
I think she'll
changer.
probably lose two of them, and one of them will be Drogon.
Yeah.
Because that'll be the biggest hit, because he's the biggest and
Yeah.
baddest. And
And it's
real
kind of
life.
her one that she'll ride over to Westeros more than likely, because that's the one that we
Yeah.
always see her naturally riding.
Now, yeah, especially. Where do we think she's going to? Because I mean, it's coming to the pinnacle now, where she's going to team up with the Greyjoys because they're building the 1,000 boats.
Yeah.
She was just told she needs about
Exactly
1,000
1,000
boats.
words, maybe more, maybe like one or two more.
Yeah,
Coinky-dink.
1,001.
I
They
did
don't
not.
know. Where do we think they're going to land versus where do we think she's going to take first?
That's an interesting.
She can't really land somewhere close to Winterfell, can she? So the closest
Probably
is things
King's
like
Landing
King's
is
Landing.
probably the next.
I think King's Landing is way too bold. I think
Yeah.
that they're first going to go to the Iron Islands, take over that.
Nah,
like,
because they're being aided by them now.
no, but
That's
'cause-
interesting. Yeah.
That's a dick move.
No, 'cause
wasn't it,
Euron's in charge.
Like Theon's
Theon-
uncle Euron,
Yeah,
he's
but-
like king now,
but
and he's
he's-
against them.
No, he's building the boats to aid her.
Yeah, but
actually-
but
said he
Theon
wants
and
to help
Yara are
her.
trying to get there first.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're trying to get there, if they're just running. If they're trying to get there, that could change something. But he did say build them 1,000 boats to go help her. We're going to aid her. So I don't think, if that's how it all works, I really doubt they're going to take the Iron Islands.
Yeah, well, it depends if Euron gets there first or Theon and Yara get there first, really.
I reckon Castle Rock.
That's interesting because
She's
that's a
gonna
place
aim
we
to
haven't
take
seen
it.
in the show.
Yeah.
What I would naturally think though is she would go to meet her allies because even despite her army with Dothraki and the Unsullied, she actually needs a standing army and backing in the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah.
And we know for a fact the Tyrells back to the Targaryens right to the end, and also the people in Dorne, the
I was going
Martells.
to say,
They're-
what about
they're-
heading to Dawn then?
Yeah, Dorne and the
Yeah.
Martells are both south, and
Yeah, she can't
south
go
of
to north.
King's Landing. I
She
think they'll
can't
storm
come
north.
from the east, I think it is, head into Westeros, and then head straight to the north to be like, oh, I want to take over Winterfell. It's too far. She has to land at one of the more southern areas, like Castle
You would think,
Rock,
yeah.
and then or Dawn or something, and head inland.
Yeah.
But I don't. I think she'd take Castle Rock because that's the Lannisters' home. There's
It's,
no way
the
that's
only
gonna
problem with
piss
that is
Cersei off
it's
more.
on the other side of Westeros. It's kind of like she'd be having to go all the way around kind of thing or across
Oh,
Westeros
okay, so
without...
I'm getting my map reversed then. I'm
Yeah.
thinking that it was closer.
Yeah, no, Castle Rock is
Okay.
on the west. So they're pretty pretty out of her way. Like if she went there it'd be But just a side note here, what do you guys think about the nudity on the show?
To begin with, it was kind of not necessarily the nudity. This part, I think, like the sex scenes at first are kind of off-putting to newer viewers.
Yeah,
because at first I watched the first episode and there was so much sex.
I think it gets a bad rap for that kind of stuff. It makes it feel like one of those shows where it's very sex reliant.
After the first 3 episodes, it's every sex scene that happens is pretty tastefully done, and it's done in a way that pseudo relevant to the story.
Yeah, there's actually a new term that came out called sex position, which means like a new way of explaining the plot, like the exposition during sex, which is what they did with a few scenes. Like there's that scene where Renly and Loras are having sex and he's shaving his body, and they're kind of explaining the plot of what's going on in that situation.
They do that a lot.
They do a lot, yeah.
Loras especially.
It's pretty smart, yeah.
Like there's the scene where he notices the roughly shaped Dawn birthmark.
Yeah, that's right. And they bring Dawn into the story
later on. At first you look at that and you're like, oh, that was really irrelevant to just show Marjorie walking in on them, but it actually had relevance though.
Yeah. I think I'm not totally opposed to seeing some Danny boobs every now and then.
The thing
I just don't want it to take over my show. I saw a massive penis the other day.
I was going to say, I was about to bring that up.
And I'm all for equal nudity and stuff, but just maybe a bit more one before I see a big dong slap out in my face.
That's exactly the scene. I believe this is the same one.
Pretty sure it had warts on it as well.
That's the one with Arya.
Yeah.
I hated that. It changed from one scene. The next thing I see is a dick on the screen. I had to look away. And I put my hand. I was like, really?
Was so funny.
You would have.
At least when Daenerys walks out the fire, we know that she's going to be burnt. I don't expect to see this guy's cock every.
It wasn't even relevant. He had one line. He's like, there seems to be a wart on my cock. All right,
thanks,
cheers, buddy.
They'll go away in a few years. What was that?
That enriched my life. Also, on top of that, the amount of guys' asses that I've been able to now store in my archive of my brain memory has tripled, and that is not cool. I'm not alright with this. I have a finite space of men asses that I wish to see, and this show has helped exceed that.
That's excellent. Alright, so now I'm going to talk on to a pretty big plot device that happened in the show. The first time we're introduced to magic in the show, really, which is when the Fire Priestess Melisandre she has a shadow baby. She gives birth to a shadow baby.
Yeah, I thought that was fantastic because up until that, it seemed like every person that was magic related was just talking crap, and they were just like, "Oh, I see the god." I thought she was full of shit.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, I see your victory in the flames and stuff like that."
And
it's
then she was
buddy,
"Hey, check it out. I'm 9 months pregnant." And then after that, she was like, "Hey, check it out. I'm 9 months pregnant in 2 hours, and here's a shadow baby to go kill." Renly. That was that was something else. Plus that scene was a bit strange, but
and I like that we saw it kind of through the eyes of Davos, a non-believer, and we see his first experience into the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I think that
was clever.
Such a strong character.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Both in the show and the books.
Yeah, in the books. He's a point of view character, which is good.
Yeah, it's going to be a shame when he dies inevitably, like everybody else.
Don't say that.
It's going to happen. It always does.
He already lost his fingers, most of them. The nubs. They're just little nubs.
So as we were saying,
touch you with my nubs.
I think it was relevant to the show in a lot of ways. It did, as you said, it gave magic its first appearance in the show.
And now we've seen a lot more of that kind of stuff through the Children of the Forest, which is more in season 6. And
on top of that, the dude that reanimates himself when the priest is, or that guy's with him, able to bring himself back to life.
And even through Melisandre a lot, bringing back Jon Snow back to life.
Yeah, in season 6.
Massive. Yeah, it started season 6.
Yeah. Well, end of season 5, wasn't it? The final thing. That was great.
I'm going to move us on now to my favourite character in the show, and we can kind of talk about his arc a little bit. Jamie Lannister.
The dragon.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's your favourite character.
Yeah, my third favourite character. That would be 4 after the 2 boobs and the dragon. After that warty dick.
Oh, jeez.
But Jamie Lannister in all seriousness.
I'd say he needs a hand these days.
Oh man, that was a low blow.
Yeah, that just happened.
That really got out of hand.
Alright, I didn't see that whole when he had his hand there and cut it off. I didn't not see that coming in the slightest.
One of the most perfect arcs for a character because he's so heavily reliant on his ability to be a strong character, a beauty kind of guy. He's kind of like your perfect man, quote unquote. Like,
Yeah,
so
well-
for him to lose something as masculine as his fighting arm is
Yeah.
like pretty significant.
Not even just that, because up until that point, he thought he was invincible. We thought he was invincible. He was a
Yeah.
Lannister. He was Jaime Lannister.
Yeah.
No one was going to touch him. Then that dude just like, oh, lol,
Straight
there
up.
goes your hand,
Yeah.
buddy. And I think that grounded Jaime in terms of
Mm-hmm.
character development. It kind of humbled him, and he took a step back and
Yep.
had to realize, well, shit, he can really die here.
Mm.
Up until that, he was kind of laughing at them like, you won't let me die, I'm too valuable. So that was definitely a massive twist in Jaime's character arc, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's two scenes that stand out to me in Jaime's storyline in season 3, which in my opinion, Jaime steals that entire season. Him and Brienne, like that storyline is kind of, I think, everyone's favorite in season 3.
Love it.
Everyone loves that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things online with them wanting to be together.
Yeah, and
Kind of did look that way.
Jaime versus Tormund coming up when they go to Riverrun, but yeah, there's two scenes that stand out to me. There's the Jaime losing his hand, obviously, it's a pretty significant moment, and also the bathtub scene where Jaime reveals to someone for the first time that he stabbed Aerys and killed Aerys, the Mad King, so that he could save King's Landing from the wildfire.
Yeah.
That's like a massive moment for Jaime.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
Because he would have like held it in for however many years, and then he finally like told
Well,
someone.
yeah,
he
he
trusted
was-
someone not
He held
to
in,
tell.
because Ned Stark, like as honourable as Ned Stark was, he just didn't trust Jaime, and he thought that he broke his oath, but he just
Yeah,
didn't
he was
tell
shat
him.
on as Kingslayer, Oathbreaker,
He lived with that for
Yeah.
like
Etc.
15, 16 years.
and just took it like a man. Took it with his hand. Alright, moving
This is
on.
mass fraud,
I guess he
man.
can't be hand of the king.
Another major plot point is Theon taking Winterfell.
Yeah, Theon's saying Winterfell.
That was crazy when it was happening, because
Yeah.
it's like I know that that Theon was the ward or whatever. Is it
Yeah,
the
well,
ward?
in
Like
the
Ned's
books,
ward?
he's Ned's ward, and he's kind of like a best friend to Rob,
Yeah.
and he's like in that small council of like a Rob, Sir Roderick, Maester Lewin, and Ned, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I honestly thought that he would have been one of the last people to betray the Stark.
That's what made it such a good scene,
Yeah,
though. Because
yeah,
they played that whole,
I know,
you're
but
more
it's
of their
like-
slave than their friend.
Yeah.
And they said that I think probably the most visually, like moment where you realise that Theon's kind of turned against the Starks is where he chops off the head of Sir Roderick,
Yeah.
and like he like can't slice it in one or two, and he kicks off his head.
Oh, that was such a sad scene.
Yeah.
And there's one line that stands out to me in that where he's like, have you got any final words, like Sir Roderick? And he says like, God's help you, Theon Greyjoy, for now you are truly lost.
Yeah,
Like, those
yeah.
ones stuck out with me. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like that's a massive moment. And he,
Also, another big moment in that kind of setup was him burning the boys,
Yeah.
which we
Yeah.
didn't find out until later that it wasn't them.
yeah,
I remember
we thought
watching
Brandon
that,
Rickon.
and I was watching it on DVD, and I was like, did I skip an episode? Like, did I put the
Yeah.
wrong disc in? I freaked out. I was like, oh god, I fucked the whole season up. And then, it turned out I was perfectly fine, and they just wanted to screw with me,
Mhm.
Yeah.
as per usual. Thank you.
Yeah,
Shows
Writers.
likes to hurt
was
us.
that was like a very big like heart wrencher when you like just saw the burnt bodies. You're
Yeah.
like, what the fuck, Theon? Like they
And-
were like your little brothers, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
And like Rob and Catelyn get the letter right after they've just learned that Ned's been
Yeah.
killed, and like they're just taking another blow after blow, and Rob's just like, no, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna kill Theon. And then for the first time we actually hear like that Ramsay's going to Winterfell. If you watch back that episode,
Yeah.
Roose is like, I'll send my bastard to Winterfell
Yeah.
to take it back.
Yeah.
And now you just wish you
And
never did that.
Don't even get me started.
So next, the Purple Wedding we'll talk about.
The Purple Wedding.
That's what it's now commonly known as. Did you read this one, Dana, or did you see this one on screen?
I read it first,
Mm-hmm.
actually, yeah, because after I passed the Red Wedding, I was
Ahead of the book-
in the
ahead of the
books,
show.
I was like, yeah, well, fuck it, like I've already spoiled it for myself. I'm just
Yep.
gonna read the whole thing. Like, there's only so much that I can read until the series catches up.
Yep.
So I thought I might as well. So I read it in the books. I literally threw the book on the ground, like jumped on my bed and started
Cheering.
dancing. Honestly, like
That was definitely how I felt
it
watching
was,
it.
yeah.
Mm.
That was one of the best scenes in the whole
Yeah.
the whole entire show, and the way that they did it was just so
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like Cersei, like she played such a fantastic
Oh,
part
she's
in that.
excellent
like,
in that.
that was brilliant. Like
No,
it
that whole
honestly
scene was
did.
great.
Like it honestly did the book so much justice as
Yeah.
well. Like
Yeah.
that is one of the very few scenes in like any series or movie or whatever that is so accurately portrayed
in the book
from the book kind of thing.
the screen. Yeah,
like it was just beautiful. I love that
Yeah.
scene mostly because Joffrey.
Yeah, that's
You get teary thinking about it.
they just that, even like, not even just the actual death scene, the entire episode orchestrated through the wedding. You know, we see him just relentlessly just being a dick to Tyrion, just so we drill it home. This is not a nice person. Like, nothing he does is nice. He literally teases his uncle in front of everyone by bringing out the dwarves and that, and he makes him bear his cup, knocks the cup on the floor. And we also see Sansa kind of acknowledge her affection for Tyrion and that, when she picks up the cup, and just there's so many little things, and the little, if you go back and now look, you see the little looks between like Marjorie and Lady Olenna and stuff like that, and just Oberyn at the wedding is awesome as well. Just, there's so many great characters in motion all at once. It was just a great episode.
Not only that, unlike a lot of the other deaths, it happened really early in that season. Like, it was quite early in season 4, whereas the rest of them seemed to happen more towards the end. As like
that played on the shock factor to people.
Like,
you didn't expect him.
Kind of build up and then bam.
Yeah,
and
like
then
it built
the
Joffrey up.
like,
exactly.
In this, it was just a little bit of build up, then bam.
Well, they
bam,
built
bam,
him up
bam,
through season
and then,
3, and then season 4, they were like, "Hey, check it out, he's dead straight away." That to me was crazy because I was like, "We're gonna have to go through a whole season till this little prick dies." And then they killed him off that quickly, and I was like, "Whoa!" Like I knew it was coming. Like, everyone had said, "Oh, we hate Joffrey, and he's gonna, he's gonna die." It's the kid. And then when he actually died that quickly, that aided the shock factor for me, especially.
Definitely.
Not having read any of the books.
And that whole situation led on to, in my opinion, I think season 4 is the best season so far. I think it's the most well orchestrated. I think the most interesting stuff happens.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think all the characters are in the perfect motion and setting at that time.
Yeah.
It feels like definitely the strongest season to me, anyway. And one of the main ploys in that is the whole trial of Tyrion and everything that goes on there. And that's just such a great, like.
Well, there's basically 3 steps to that.
Yeah.
So obviously the first part is him being sentenced and then wanting the
his
trial.
actual
by
trial.
combat.
Yep. So
And
that trial
losing
scene, he pretty much won the Emmy just from showing up to that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm on trial for being a dwarf. Oh, that gets me every time.
Yeah, that was incredible.
And Lord Tywin was excellent.
Then the actual trial by combat. This to me was, honestly, I note this as one of my most hard hitting scenes is when the mountain kills Oberyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was spoiled from that by the book, but it just so.
It was so much more graphic.
Than you could ever imagined in your own brain.
Yeah, like in the book, it was kind of just like like the mountain gouges.
Yeah, gouges
Oberyn's eyes out and stuff like that. But then, like, actually watching it happen in front of you on the screen,
it happened
is just
in the
like
space
a whole.
of.
And they actually show you the exploded head on the floor
like
after. It's like,
whoa!
whoa!
I think
experience. Like,
it was a combination.
Crazy.
It was they had, I was forgetting the chick, his wife or lover or whatever was in the crowd, and she screamed.
Her
at
scream.
The moment, and it went from a second where the mountain's laying next to him and he's being cocky. Mountain grabs him, knocks him down, gets on top of him, and in that split second that he's on top, he's
straight
gone.
in the
And
eyes.
that scream, the silence, and everything. That to me, literally, I jumped from just how fucking crazy that scene was.
Yeah.
And after I finished watching that season, I just like walked away and I was like, I'm still not over this. Like, I loved Oberyn.
It's one of those things you can watch 10 times over.
Episode, and I'm still not over it. I'll never be over it. Like, I love Oberyn so much, just as a character.
Yeah, he was great.
He is brilliant, and
He's
the
excellent.
fact that he was in it for such a short time,
Yeah.
and then got killed off so quickly, like that was
Just better to have loved and lost.
I don't think it is.
To never have loved at all.
Not when it comes
It's
to
better to
Obi.
have loved and got your head crushed by a giant than to have never.
So that leads into the next death of that same season is Tywin.
Tywin is an incredible
coming.
long time coming, but for me, I just needed more time. I still need more Tywin. His character is so he puts everything in motion. Everything that Joffrey isn't in a leader and a stabilized politician and player of the game of chess in Game of Thrones. Tywin is everything.
Yeah, but I think
I think Tywin's been in it for
season 1,
the longest.
It was entirety,
compared to everyone else.
No,
like
excluding
even
Sansa's
just
and stuff like
even just
He's
the
an original
game
character,
that,
yeah.
like the whole Game of
Yeah.
Thrones in general, he has
He
been
played it
there
the longest.
for the longest.
He stormed King's Landing, you know, in
Yeah.
Robert's Rebellion. He was
Yeah.
the one that his armies overthrew areas from King's Landing.
Yeah,
so,
like that's back in the fucking day.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
way
what
back when.
honestly like made that honestly a really good death for me was the fact that he was so powerful and yet he died on the toilet. He was basically Elvis.
Yeah.
yeah, that was another great way of doing it, so that there was really kind of the juxtaposition. My favorite rumor is everyone, you know, like in Westeros, everyone believes that Tywin Lannister shits gold,
Yeah.
and I just love the fact that they played on that by killing him on the toilet.
Yeah,
That's
that was
excellent.
excellent. We can jump back to one of the earliest, like, joking things that happens as Bran being pushed from a window.
Yeah, I mean like we talked about the benetting being the first big shock, but really the first big shock of the show is a child being like seemingly killed off in the first episode, even though he didn't die.
Not just that, but also that we simultaneously find out about Jaime and Cersei.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like underplayed a bit, I think, that in that, because you're just like, whoa, kid fell out the window, like, is Bran alright, that kind of thing. And then when you actually put into context what that actually means is you know, that Cersei, the queen, is being unloyal to her husband, Robert, with her own brother.
Yeah, not even just the unloyalty, but like I remember when I was
The
watching
implications of that,
because that was right at the start. When I was watching that, I was like, wait a second, aren't they brother and sister?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, this is completely messed up.
And that can't be right.
And just the fact that like we knew from the get-go, like us as viewers knew from the get-go that they were like doing what they were doing and they were related and everything.
Yeah.
No one else on the show knew.
Yeah.
Like I think that was
we were like on the biggest secret in Westeros.
Yeah. That's what was most frustrating about it.
Now it's kind of like common knowledge. We're like, oh.
Yeah, but at the same time, it is, but it isn't. Because it's
it's kind of whispered.
Still like a rumor kind of thing. Like people talk
but people
about it,
tease
but
them to their faces about it.
Yeah.
So like clearly, it's a rumor that people believe in Westeros. It's not like oh, did you hear this? Oh no, that's a lie. It's like kind of like, oh no, this is legit. This is happening.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna move us back across the sea to it's Khal Drogo. Now this is another character that was kind of a one-season wonder as well.
Yeah.
At first, you know, you don't like him because the whole, you know,
I always liked him. Big ass killing death machine warlord.
Well, if you see it through Daenerys' eyes at first, he's kind of this mean, cruel person. But even in the books, he's described as a gentle person. Like he offers yes or no to have sex with Daenerys in the first episode, but she goes through with it to please her brother. So I think if you actually go back and analyze what's going on in that first thing, you see Viserys is the main bad guy, not Khal Drogo. Now, while we see, you know, sex with like a 13-year-old with like a 30-year-old man as a bad thing, to his customs, it's not as bad and not as unfamiliar.
It's not even in our world, really, though.
Yeah, it's not even like our situation.
If you think about back in like Victorian era and things like that, it actually wasn't uncommon for women to be married by the time they were 14.
Yeah, exactly.
It was weird if they weren't.
Like,
so I mean,
by the time they were like technically women, like
if
started puberty and everything, that's when they got
start
married
their period and stuff like that. Usually,
if this is set in medieval type of times, that's not an uncommon thing.
It's not too uncommon. And I think, and you kind of learned to love him. Like you gravitated towards him more as Daenerys fell in love with him. I felt anyway. What did you guys feel?
Absolutely. Yeah. I completely agree. Like I've kind of loved him from the start. Like just because.
A few quabbles, but he's always like he never did anything not to deserve your affection. Yeah, he's Aquaman.
Like complete babe.
I mean, how can you not like a guy that's in the Justice League? I mean, Ben Affleck.
Well, he makes the worst Justice League member look good.
He ended up being like a real big sweetheart, like, you know, like my moon and stars, like all that kind of thing. Like that was just so beautiful. That was my favourite relationship.
I'm betting someone's used that in their real life vows.
Yeah,
for sure.
And he frees Dany from what she never knew was kind of her biggest problem in life, which is her own brother. Like he identifies this as a problem, and he respects her as a woman enough to be like, hey, like what this guy's doing to you is wrong, and he gives him his golden crown that Viserys always wanted. So that's another great scene.
I think the funniest thing about that is that Viserys was always like, you don't want to wake the dragon, like I am the dragon, like don't make me angry, and then he wasn't the dragon. Daenerys was.
Daenerys was actually the
So
dragon.
it's like, fuck you, Viserys.
That's kind
you
of
woke
like
up the dragon.
That's kind of like a twist that is really old, but at the same time really well done in that show, where he was I'm the badass that's going to sit on the throne, you better listen to me, and the one that he keeps pushing around and bullying ends up being the badass and that he could never be.
Low-key badass.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's Khal Drogo's actual death is pretty hard to stomach, like especially like the way he actually dies and the way that the witch says that, you know, she can bring him back, and it ends up costing Daenerys her baby.
Yeah,
and that was all.
And her like whole ability to
give birth again.
Yeah. My partner predicted that. I didn't want it to be right. She was like, "Oh, that's a witch. Don't trust people you just conquered to heal someone that conquered them."
Yeah, no.
And I was like, no, it'll be fine. It wasn't fine. I was mad at myself. I blame you.
In the Game of Thrones, nothing is fine.
I love when that witch dies. She's like, I won't scream. And then she's like, ah!
Yeah.
Alright, well, that was another point we had just after this was obviously the gold crown.
Yeah, so we pretty
we'll
much touched on that.
Move to someone else's crown being taken, the manhood of Theon.
Now, like, this kind of exemplifies for me how the extremes Game of Thrones can go to.
Oh, yeah.
So when Theon takes Winterfell,
specifically the extremes that Ramsay can go to.
Yeah.
I wasn't even necessarily talking about that, but yeah, I get what you're talking about. I was talking about more the fact that when Theon takes Winterfell, you fucking hate him. It makes you fucking despise his guts, and you're just like what you've just betrayed every kind of sacred honor you could possibly do. This before Red Wedding, before this kind of betrayal.
Yeah.
This is the first one of the biggest betrayals in the whole series. We see that happen, and we're like, no, I won't feel sorry for you no matter what happens. Until the guy gets his dick cut off.
And then we feel sorry.
And he calls himself Reek. And he
what about when he, like his sister Yara comes to save him?
Oh,
and he's like, no, Reek, and like goes back into the cave. I knew that wasn't going to happen.
I knew she was not going to save him.
That was crazy. Like, you kind of think it's going to happen, but then when it actually happens, you're like, damn, Theon's gone. Like,
that's the moment you know that his mind is gone. Like,
and
he completely believes he is Reek and he's not Theon.
And then it keeps happening, like, throughout season 5, like, and I think part of 6, like, him trying to help, Sansa wanting his help. And then he
betrays her.
Gives the candle to Ramsay and tells her this, like, and then on top of that, Ramsay making him watch while he rapes Sansa.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck my life.
That was pretty fucked up.
That was bad even for Ramsay.
Yeah.
That was bad even for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So now we're going to talk about something that definitely is bad for Game of Thrones, which is my man Stannis accidentally making a mistake, maybe. You know, he might have...
Oh, you mean burning his dinner?
He burnt his dinner / daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what do you guys reckon? Melisandre is a bitch?
The in-joke there of burning the dinner is because these two spoiled it for me. And they hadn't realised that I hadn't watched that episode, and they started talking about it, and I was like, what? Stannis burns his daughter? And they're like, no, I said dinner. And so from now on, Stannis burnt his dinner. As I just said, you guys spoiled that for me. So the entirety of season 5, I was watching it, waiting for that to happen, and it had no effect on me.
Really? See, even
it had no effect on me strictly because I built it up for like a month in my mind.
Like, that one wrecked me. Even though I saw it coming a million miles away, like just seeing that actually happen, because to me, Stannis is like, despite what some people think, he's always been kind of like a loyal man, and you knew that he actually cared for his daughter. Yeah. And to see him being in that resort where he had nothing left, this was his last like hope of, you know, taking back the throne and stuff, and winning Winterfell.
What hit me more was the lead up toward it, where they were still at the wall, and the mother was like sickened by her own daughter. Yeah. And she was like,
she was a terrible character.
I couldn't bear you a son. It's not worthy, all that kind of crap. And I was like, you need to fucking burn.
Yeah.
He should throw your ass on a pyre.
Yep.
So, you know, after he found her hung, I was like,
when Shireen like was kind of like calling out, like, please, like, don't do it, and you saw like all like the knights acting, and that, like, I just wanted someone to stand up and stop it.
I'll give you that. Yeah, her acting was fantastic. It was so good that I was like, no.
And even like what actually got me, even like, I kind of like put that past me. I was like, okay, I can kind of forget about her being burnt. And then
Stannis too much.
I love Stannis, but anyway, #Stannis lives 2K16.
He's dead, bro. Let it go.
Never. You didn't see it happen. But what actually got me even worse was when Davos found out.
Yeah.
That was
when
Melisandre, he asked like the princess Shireen, is she okay?
Yeah,
and
like where is she?
She just
Where
shook
is
her
she?
head.
And she-
Actually, I felt that scene
that
could have been
was-
worse though, because she didn't say, "Oh, we burned her."
Yeah, but
made
she's
it-
not going to put herself in danger by
No, I
saying
know,
that. Davos would have killed
But
her.
it made it sound
straight
like
up.
she died in battle, like she was there with Stannis and got killed, and that to me kind of like could have softened it had it been like, oh yeah, Stannis burned her. Could you imagine him having to have pictured that, or if he was there?
I think he will find out eventually the fate of Shireen, and I think
definitely.
that'll probably be the undoing of the Red Priestess.
I think Brienne might be the one.
Yeah,
To
well,
tell
she
she was kind of there, like
she got
lurking
close,
with
yeah.
Todd.
She kind of came up and she said, what did she say? She said like, oh yeah, like I killed Stannis and that kind of thing, and like they're talking about it. And as soon as she got close to mentioning like what happened there and stuff like that, the Red Priestess kind of cut her off and was like, So I think they're definitely playing on that, and I think he will find out sooner or later. I
think he will. Yeah.
He definitely has to. Like he deserves to find out.
Yeah,
because like
one of the only nice people to her.
Yeah, like with Shireen, like her condition, like I can't remember what it is, like the grayscale. Yeah. Like nobody treated her like a person. Like her mother didn't treat her like a person. Like her dad treated her like a person sometimes, very occasionally.
He treated her like his own daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Like Davos treated her like his own daughter. Like she taught Davos
how to read. Yeah.
Like that was one. Like
hit your own
actually,
heart,
the part that got me a little bit was when
it's all coming out now.
When he made her the little ram toy, and was like, "Oh, I made this for you." Yeah. And I was like, you know that she's going to be a hold, because I knew that she was going to burn. I was like, I know she's going to be holding that while she's on the fire. And then she came out walking out of the tent, still kind of fumbling it between her fingers, like, what's going on? I don't know. And I was like, oh my god, evil people.
Evil people.
Moving on to, and this is a part that a lot of people probably got spoiled on, is the mutiny of the Night Watch and a particular death that followed.
Yeah. So obviously, Jon Snow's death is one of the biggest landmarks in the book. It's kind of marks the end of where we're up to in the book phase.
Yeah,
so it's one of the last big things that us smug book readers could say, oh, we know this. And
but like even in the books,
it's kind of ambiguous.
It just kind of like faded out. Like in the books, there was a scene where you thought Brienne died because she got into like a
and Arya when the Red Wedding happens.
It
said I think it said Sandor Clegane hits Arya over the head with his axe, and you're like, fuck, because it actually leaves it like that. It's because the Red Wedding's happening, and Arya's about to run in, and then whack, and then it's like, holy shit, and it doesn't explain till later that he just knocked her out. You just think that he killed her. And you're like,
it's just very vague, and you're like, fuck, like did they die? Like what happened? Like the same happened with Stannis and with Jon, with Brienne in the book, like all that kind of stuff. So like in the books, it just kind of
but that's part
left
of the
it
mystery.
open.
It's a bit harder for them to transfer
then,
that.
But then with Jon's death, it's like, how is he not dead? Like he got stabbed like 700 times.
That was something that, like, because a lot of people, that got way spoiled for me. Like way before I even was touching season 5, that got spoiled for me.
Yeah.
And when I got up to that scene, I remember everyone being like, oh, he's probably not dead though. And I was like, the dude just got stabbed like 7 times.
Yeah.
And did you see the blood next to him? Like, dude's dead. Let it go.
To be fair, this is one of these things that's been talked about by everyone for ages, and like everyone's theorized, about like Jon's storyline was the problem with that is his storyline was so incomplete, and stuff like Ned and Robb, their stories were incomplete, but they could end there. Like that was a realistic ending. They, the death before they got to achieve what they wanted to achieve.
Which is kind of good, though,
Jon's was different. He kind of achieved everything he wanted to achieve in a way. He got the wildlings in past the wall. He protected the wall from the wildlings when they were attacking. Kind of, he still had some jobs to do, but it could have ended there. But the thing that I knew he had to finish, we didn't know who Jon's mother was. And there was no way they were going to end that without him figuring out who his mother was when it was such a massive integral storyline.
Fair. Well, obviously that's been talked on to death since it happened a while ago.
R plus L equals J.
Another death that we have. This is one that me and Stephen believe didn't happen, but the death of the Hound.
Yeah, I'm gonna say right now,
you don't see him die.
I honestly think that the Hound is coming back very soon.
And that's another reason why you think Stannis isn't dead, because you're an adamant person believing that no death on screen counts.
And in the books, it happens a lot more frequently as well. They bring characters back from the dead quite often. In the books, a lot more than they do in the show.
Okay. Well, you never killed him. That was kind of the moment we all thought she's going to kill him, and didn't. and he was left with pretty bad injuries, probably death.
I think there was a bone sticking out of his leg.
And he had a stab wound.
Yeah.
So if people didn't come along, he's probably going to die because he can't move on his own. But I did feel like someone could come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
would have been like treatable.
Yeah, treatable.
Well, like nothing.
No, nothing like life-threatening after a long extent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, because that leg after a day could get infected pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, if someone was an hour or two behind Arya, it's possible he made it out of that. So I definitely think that the Hound will come back and hopefully slay the fuck out of the mountain.
Yeah, that'd be great if we could say Clegane Bowl.
Yeah.
Awesome, but well, one thing about the ambiguous death quote of the Hounds is how Arya felt about it. Some people sit on the fence where they say they choose the side, saying that Arya wanted him to feel pain and this was part of her crossing him off his list. But then other people, I think I agree with this side. Other people say that Arya actually felt sorry for him and
she grew fond of him.
She couldn't do it in the end. Like this is the
she
person.
She even says that in season 6 when she's talking to the
exactly. I think we learned that. Jack and Hagar.
Yeah. She's like, I think him as the girl when he was wearing the face of the girl or whatever it is says like, oh, who was on your list? And they mentioned the Hound and that she took it off. And she's like, oh yeah, why'd you take it off?
Mm.
And then she doesn't really have a response, and they're like, "Oh no, you don't know why he took it off." It's hints more at being like, the fondness, because he did take care of her.
Yeah, exactly.
He did help her and teach her things.
Teach her so many things.
Didn't he say something like, the girl loved the man or whatever?
Exactly,
and she's like, no, and he's like,
she's
lied.
But then it kind of stops the scene there. So I definitely
just
think
one of those nice throwback moments where it's like, she did, she totally cared.
Had care for him. That's why she couldn't kill him. Because she's pretty bloodthirsty. Like, she's obviously left the assassins strictly because she couldn't not kill someone.
Yeah.
And in that other case, because she wouldn't kill someone she felt not worthy of dying.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think it's because she cared.
And I definitely think the Hound, like, redeemed himself in Arya's eyes because, like, she hated him for what he did.
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
And, like, what happened in the previous seasons, but then he helped her.
Yeah.
When nobody else would, kind of thing.
She's
like
kind of alive because of him.
Yeah, like everyone else would have just turned her back over to the Lannisters, but he helped her escape.
He was a very similar character-ish to her. Like that was kind of the person she always wanted to be, and like she kind of she'd grown up in this house Stark where everything was very honorable and stuff, and she is like that. She showed those Stark traits in her. But at heart, she's a very wild person. Yeah. And I think the Hound was the first person that kind of let her be who she wanted to be.
Yeah.
And helped her find that person in her, which is really, really good. It's one of those Brienne-Jaime relationships that we love in this show. Just two characters paired up that we just didn't know that we love so much.
Speaking of people that get paired up that we didn't realize we love so much, Tormund and Brienne.
Yes.
Frankly, that is the best couple that I've ever seen. The way they play it, next level. It really is.
They would be such a power couple, honestly.
Power couple. It's like there's like Michelle and Barack Obama. Power couple.
Much.
There are a few moments that stand out of why I love Tormund especially, and one of them is what his reply to Jon Snow when they come back and save him.
Yeah.
And he's like, "They think you're a god, Jon Snow. I'm not a god. I know. I've seen your pecker. No god would have a pecker that small."
Yeah.
That was so good. That it showed the kind of respect relationship that Tormund and Jon Snow have.
He shows that human side of the wildlings. From what we see, people like the Thens and stuff. They're like these kind of cannibals. But then when Jon kind of says, like the wildlings are people too. We see that humanity in Tormund.
And speaking of the Thens, we see that especially in the battle over the sea in the north, where they're battling the White Walkers.
Yeah.
One of them, the bald guy with the axe.
Yes.
Says to Jon Snow, like, me and you will go and get the dragon glass, and he ends up dying to the White Walker. Like, it shows that even the most savage of them are just people. At the end of the day, they're just trying to survive. So, and he respected obviously the fact that Jon Snow had stuck around to fight in that battle.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so, Tormund and Brienne.
Yeah. Going back to Jon's pecker, somebody.
Great.
Does it have warts?
No. It's, like I saw this post on Facebook that basically like implied that you're going to get to see Jon's willy in the episode, and I was like, okay, oh my god, we're going to get to see Jon's willy finally, and we don't, and I was really mad about that.
Yeah, he was on that table with a really small cloth.
Oh my god,
I think that was part of the
why
joke.
couldn't there be like a slight breeze, honestly?
You definitely saw a Jon lump.
You saw Little John.
There was definitely a bulge going on.
Yeah, I'm not. I can't really say that I'm that upset that we didn't get to see another dick on
Damn.
screen.
No John's warty dead penis.
I can live without that, to be honest.
That's all I want to say about
But
that.
to be fair, Kit is a pretty loved person on the internet. He's a pretty beautiful man.
Kit Harington.
So, for you women, that sucks.
Oh well, Daenerys boobs. So I'll move us on now to probably the most quote unquote internet moment of this season so far.
Still pretty viral.
Hold the door.
Hold the door. Once again, I got kind of. I didn't get spoiled on this, but I did see the memes of him.
If you don't keep up, then you're in trouble. Get spoiled everywhere.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But I made the connection. Someone, I think it was like one of you guys had said something about it that honestly, if I didn't just piece it together, it wouldn't have been a spoiler. And I managed to piece the connection of Hodor sounding like "hold the door."
Yeah.
And that kind of spoiled it for me. That being said, I didn't know
in the context of the moment
happened.
and how powerful it was.
And I didn't know that he actually stood there holding a door I thought it was like some kind of. I knew it was to do with Bran's mental war powers, but I thought maybe it was some kind of like a mystical door of like life and death. I had no idea. I was literally speculating on my own thoughts there.
But for us book readers, this was kind of the first big spoiler for us that wasn't in the books.
Absolutely.
Because John come back to life. You can say it's a spoiler for book readers, but at the same time, we kind of all knew it was going. It wasn't a massive surprise. This kind of was like we learned something that we book readers that started from the original books hadn't learned in 20 years since the original books. This was a massive reveal.
Definitely, yeah. I love the way that they did it though.
Yeah.
Just go into the flashback of when Hodor was Wilbur,
which was the episode before.
Whatever his name.
Yeah, that was great. That was excellent.
Whatever his name was.
I think his name's Willis in the show.
Willis, yeah.
What you talking about, Willis?
Yeah, that's it.
Hold the door.
But yeah, I love.
You finally know what Willis is talking about.
No, I just loved seeing how and why Hodor was Hodor.
Yes. Yeah. That was something that when I first saw it, I was like, it's not one of those things that strike you as like, no, why is that? You kind of just maybe assume he's the unassuming oaf, but it's great to show that George lets no subtle hint slide. Everything is interconnected, and that was crazy.
Yeah.
So that was great.
He had a plan for this since the start, which is really impressive to see it actually play out.
On top of that, the way the actor actually played out the whole on the ground
and
screaming,
the kid as well,
hold the door. Slowly, I really thought it was going to morph into Hodor really quickly and stupidly, but it was over the course of a 2-minute thing.
Yeah.
And that was really well done.
And it was there's something about seeing a kid become mentally kind of impaired before your eyes. Just laughed, Walker. I was saying there's something about seeing it that's actually quite touching and
I was going to say,
sad.
It's funny to see people be mentally ill in front of you. Come on.
I was going to say it's tragic, man, but whatever you reckon. But yeah,
flips it.
But I was a bit skeptical going into this Bran storyline, but ever since for me, the whole story of the Tower of Joy and that's been one of the things that I've wanted to know about for a long time, and us book readers will know a lot of the R+L=J theory is just one door away now, and as someone that doesn't know, Walker, what do you think? Is there any? Did you think we're going to go back to the Tower of Joy, or did that mean anything to you, that scene?
For some reason, I'm blanking on whatever you're referencing.
Yeah, wow. So that's a massive thing for
Bran's flashback sort of thing.
Oh,
to that tower.
And where?
Yeah. Okay.
And we see young Ned.
And he calls out to him, and no, it was the wind he heard. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I did want to go back to that.
Yeah,
because that felt like such a.
Do you have any clues what's in the tower or anything like that?
No, that is an amazing part that kind of is quite annoying, and that's why I was like, wait, what are you referencing? Because it felt so unfinished to me.
Yeah,
it felt like a part where they're like, oh hey, here's young Ned fighting, and
we're gonna learn some key information.
Bran gets to see it. We get to understand what happened to his sister, who we've referenced in season 1 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But no, you don't. And we just kind of going to scale over that for Hodor's moment. So, that's kind of annoying for me.
It's not annoying, but I'm loving getting these little parts of the past that for me are the most interesting storyline. In the latest episodes, we've seen the Mad King for the first time, and Jaime sitting on the throne, and that kind of lore of the books where you're this is the great stuff that needs to walk its way into the show a little bit.
Like all of the things that were happening in those flashbacks and stuff are like old stories that have been told in the books.
Yeah, and we're seeing it pay off a little bit, which is interesting. And I hope that it actually plays a lot into what's going to happen in the future. And I think a lot of people expect it to, whereas it's interesting. But there's actually one bit in that flashback of Bran's where he sees all those visions, right? Mm-hmm. He sees the wildfire exploding. That hasn't happened in the past. So do we think this could potentially be the end of King's Landing? The wildfire, because as far as we know, the caches of wildfire still exist underneath King's Landing.
Yeah, what I think it was is because that wasn't a different version. I don't know if that was budgetary reasoning, but that wildfire explosion was the exact same scene of the original one. They've just taken it and put it in there.
It didn't happen inside. It never happened inside though.
And what I'm saying is that I think it was supposed to be just part of the TV show.
I think it's a dip into the future. I think this could be the tragic end of King's Landing kind of thing.
It's possible, like that he did look into the future, because there was that weird scenario where he looked into the future and saw the White Walker standing outside the tree, or looked into the past. For whatever reason, the White Walker grabbed him and was able to then realize he was at the tree.
Yeah. And so also in that same really flashback, we see Daenerys' dragon flying over King's Landing, the shadow of the dragon. So I think he definitely has the ability to see even just tiny glimpses into the future, which is why I think that that wildfire explosion could definitely play into something. Now we'll move on to maybe one of the biggest kind of set piece episodes of the show so far, which is the Battle of Blackwater Bay. Like just talking about the wildfire going off, that kind of showcase of it in the it's kind of amazing for TV in a way, because you'd never seen like a massive. It was kind of reminiscent of like the Battle of Helm's Deep or something.
It was a large scale invasion versus, and the weird thing about that is at that point as a viewer, I obviously hadn't read the books, but for me, I hated the Lannisters. So I was kind of like, we finally get to see someone like Stannis come in.
I've got a Lannister's cup.
And that I bought you. That we get to see someone else come in and try to take that throne. And I thought that was going to happen. But then,
Stannis,
especially with Tyrion, that made me really like I was kind of like, I want them to not...
You didn't know who you wanted to win,
so it was a really weird scenario. And it was greatly portrayed. And especially with the whole, they send the ship out full of the... stuff, and then
with Davos, and Davos loses his son in the explosion.
Yeah, it was excellent.
Yeah, it was a really good episode. I thought.
That was a very, very well made sort of little interaction thing.
Plus, I think it really helped show Tyrion's level of intellect.
Yeah.
He kind of orchestrated that.
There's a lot of great character moments in that episode, I think. I'll just mark out a couple here. We've got the Hound, we see the Hound, how much he actually is afraid of fire, and that he just runs away just from seeing it. Like the heat on his face makes him bail. We see Joffrey, for a moment, I actually thought Joffrey was going to be a bit noble and stay and fight. Yeah. And he had that kind of conflict within himself, when his mum was calling him to come back to the castle and hide, and that was his natural thing, because that's how he'd been brought up, to kind of being a bit cowardly. And then you got Tyrion saying, no, stay in the battle, we need him, and he kind of was fighting that battle within himself.
Yeah, it was like for a second he respected Tyrion's response. He was like, wait, I should do that. Also, another moment was Cersei hiding up there, just about ready to use the
kill Tommen,
yeah, so
which would have been massive.
That was really interesting. She was like a second away from forcing that down the throat, and
I think we also see there's a great moment where Stannis is he's on top of he's on the walls of King's Landing, and he's kind of got in and to the city, and he's being pulled back by his men when they're losing, and he just fights it. He's like, no, like I won't go back, like this has to happen now. Which is
kind of like a foreshadowing to his and Ramsay's fight.
Yeah, but
he knows he's going to lose,
but he goes
all
anyway.
His men bailed on him, and he's like, no. And then same sort of thing with him and Brienne.
Because Stannis isn't a coward. He wants to
he doesn't
follow through with all the things.
He'll die nobly if he has to.
And exactly.
He knows his fate kind of thing. He's either going to be the king or he's going to be nothing. Like that's his thing.
He basically is going to get rich or die trying.
Get rich or die trying.
He's basically 50 Cent.
There's also a great introduction. Great introduction as well in that episode to not an introduction to a couple of these guys, but that maybe one of their more standout moments. For instance, Podrick saving Tyrion for that's a great moment, and also Tywin being a badass for the first time. You're riding in on his horses, and then he rides his horse into the throne room, and he's just like, "It is over. We have won."
Because from what I can remember from the early seasons, Tywin was a very kind of booksy sort of guy, like writing letters, and he was fighting the war with words.
And we knew like the reigns of Castamere about him, but we didn't see that. Yeah.
Yeah, like as you said, we didn't actually see that. So then having him like be in on the action was a very like
I saw you
new thing, and
he was definitely
it was super
the
cool.
classic war general.
Yeah.
He sits back at the hill with the map laid out with assorted troops, toys and stuff on top of it to like move them into places. You don't really see him in the battle. For him to be there is what Joffrey should have done. Should have been that person that led.
And it shows you that he is kind of like if in an ideal world for the Lannister setup, he should probably be the king.
Yeah.
And for an extent, he does kind of run the country in the seasons to follow for a while. So yeah, he kind of runs things behind the show.
All right, we can move on to something a little nicer. It's the reuniting of Sansa and Jon.
Yeah, this is definitely one of the most lightest moments in like the new season that's just gone by. I mean, it's something we've been craving for.
But...
yeah. We've been waiting for it for so long to see some Starks reunite. And even though Jon's not technically a Stark, it's just great to see some people from that original family meet and just be happy and just...
Jon's like a moment away from being a Stark. Like, if it wasn't the Lannisters in charge of the kingship, he would be a Stark.
Yeah.
Like, someone would have appointed him that for sure. And we knew Ned was going to do it.
Yeah, Stannis was going to do it.
Ned was going to do it. He
Yeah,
was gonna,
possibly.
But he died prior to achieving that. But, yeah, I think there was a great moment, and it was kind of like a win in our pocket, whereas knowing how that show works out now, I feel like it's going to not be a win in our pocket.
Yeah.
And it's going to be like, oh, that was great. Someone gets their head cut off.
Yeah.
To compensate for this one half an episode of happiness. So, I don't know. I'm worried the fallout.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be one of those things that you got to appreciate while it lasts.
Yeah.
We don't ever appreciate things. We just assume people die.
Enjoy like these nice little moments. Just like the nice little moment of Ramsay meeting his brother for the first time.
When he holds him and he's like, oh, it's so cute.
I preferred being an only child. You know, these cute things.
and then he feeds into his dogs. Like,
yeah, I mean, like, do we expect anything less from Ramsay at this point?
Yeah.
Didn't happen on screen. I choose to believe baby is alive 2K16.
He's hanging out with Stannis and the hounds.
The dog and the hounds actually took him in as one of their own.
He's actually hanging out with Robert Baratheon's bastard on that boat.
Yeah, no, the baby's alive. 2K16. I heard it. So when he comes back and seizes the Iron Throne, you'll all realise
the dog's actually just playing with him.
He's the new hound.
They're just licking him. Yeah, but Ramsay's kind of been built up as this character, like
he's the big bad at the moment.
Yeah, he's kind of Joffrey, but with less style.
No, he's Joffrey with more brain.
Yeah,
like, that's what it really is.
Yeah,
he makes dumb decisions,
more brain,
but he is a better leader, and he is not afraid to get his boots wet.
Yeah, no, he fought in the fight against Stannis
about the things that he does,
and I think he's in a way he's actually more twisted.
Yeah.
Like Joffrey's twisted.
Like he fed a baby to a dog for Christ's sake.
Just look at their house banner, the flayed man. So they do shit that is arguably twisted on its own as their house sigil.
Yeah, like even the other houses are like, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like
and they're just like, we'll just let them do what they want and pretend it doesn't happen.
I don't want to get flayed. I will say nothing about it.
And he has cut off a man's penis in this show so far. So.
And sent it to his sister. And dad.
That was messed up in all sorts.
Mm-hmm. And he ate a sausage in front of the guy. that was one of my favourite scenes. I love that.
I thought he was eating the dick.
That look that Theon gives him is like, oh no. That was excellent.
I know. I hate Ramsay, but at the same time, he is a necessary evil.
Yeah.
We need someone because I mean, at the moment, he's united the Vale, the Night's Watch.
I don't think he owns the Vale. I think Aaron.
No. He's united them against him.
Oh yeah. He's not. Yeah.
Littlefinger is going to go there to try to be like, oh, see, Sansa.
The Brotherhood without banners is kind of rising. So.
Yeah,
I
can't wait for them to become a bigger thing.
Kind of like it's it's the remnants of Robb Stark's army, and it's like everyone's kind of separated, and you can kind of see Sansa, Jon, and like Davos bring them all together.
Yeah.
And it showed that up in the Night's Watch, it showed them like contemplating that.
Yeah.
Being like, we need to do this to
this is who we need to
down Ramsay.
And hopefully we get to see those kind of things, like them bringing their army together would be good.
I just want to put something into perspective though. I think it's Davos asks like how large is Ramsay's army?
Yeah.
And he says...
I think Sansa says that there was 40,000.
No. She said 5,000.
No, 40.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I could have sworn it was 5.
It's 40.
I don't know, man.
Trust me. I know.
Yeah? I don't know. You knew some other stuff before you went around. But either way,
I'm episode before
to
ahead
put
of
that
everyone.
into
Just so everyone
perspective,
knows.
I don't know, because that wasn't 40,000 he marched on Stannis. But either way.
Yeah, he didn't march all of them on
But,
Stannis, though.
like,
This is something that Sansa overheard him talking about. So there's no confirmation to her 100% there's 40. This is just something she overheard him say 40,000.
But either way, to put that in perspective, think of the size of Daenerys' army now.
Yeah, she's got 100,000 Dothraki, probably 50,000 of fighters of that.
Yeah, we can safely say at least.
And she's got 20,000 on side, I think.
And then the second sons.
Second
and
sons.
she's kind of also banking on like the Tyrells and the Dornish kind of helping her. Which I think the Dornish would join her.
Yeah,
I think that the Dornish
absolutely.
100%, if they heard she was coming over, they'd be 100%
And
jumping on that ship.
Ironborn's joining it, and she has to.
Ironborn, yeah. I mean, she's got a fucking massive, she's got a massive group coming with her.
So,
especially the sand snakes, like Oberyn's wife and like her daughters kind of thing.
Great book characters, terrible show characters.
Oh right, I loved him in the
Fun
books,
characters. I don't know the names of the daughters, but one of the daughters in Bronn.
Yeah,
that was an awesome scene in the show.
Yeah.
Hey, I wouldn't say awesome. I don't know. I didn't like it that much. It was kind of weird.
Yeah,
it was like
prefer to see Warty Dix.
Yeah,
I
definitely think they're gonna. I definitely think they're gonna back Daenerys, like strong female characters gonna band together.
Yeah. Hashtag George is a feminist.
George is a feminist.
Typical George the vegan.
Peter Dinklage is his right hand.
Yeah.
You've got to write a strong vegan feminist.
That's where I come in.
just see them like eating, and it's like turns into like a an infomercial. Oh hi! If you'd like to know where this vegan food comes from, we grow it in the patches of dawn. Move on to another strong female character. Oh, great segue! Arya, for me, is a great character, especially in the books. You just fall in love with her instantly. She's kind of like this misfit in her own family, and like she loves them all, and she just doesn't fit in with being like this nice noble lady. She wants to be a warrior. She wants to fight battles, and but her storyline at the moment kind of depresses me a little bit. But it's in this latest season 6, it's gotten a lot better. Season 4 and 5 for her. It's kind of it's very good. I hope it pays off in a big way because like there's only so many ways you can watch a little girl get beaten up with a stick.
I don't know about that.
A little blind girl.
Just like Daenerys, I'm gonna talk at length. I'm a fan.
Of Arya?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh great. Thanks for that info.
Just wanted to get in pretty in depth there.
I don't know. The way I see Arya is that she doesn't fit in with either kind of sides of her family, like how there's Sansa and she's like a proper lady and she knits and she's knits, but she sews and all that kind of stuff. She's very polite.
Yeah.
And then she's more of a warrior.
She's like in between Jon Snow and Sansa.
But because she's a girl, she doesn't fit in with the guys. Like she won't be one of them. She won't be Sansa. She's just Arya.
They also illustrate it that it's hard for her to make friends like Sansa. Like there is kind of like not a lack of trying for her to trying to be a lady. Like she does try and learn how to sew and like how to please like the old nan and stuff in the books.
Yeah,
but she
doesn't enjoy it.
She gets called like Arya Horseface and stuff like that because her appearance is like they've done a pretty good job in the show of making her look this way. In the show, they illustrate the fact that Robb, Bran, Rickon, and Sansa all look like their mother with the nice fair hair, and whereas Jon and Arya are kind of like the rougher, very stark-looking children with the dark hair, and they kind of have these rough faces and that kind of thing, which they've done well with that, I think.
Yeah, and in the books especially, like the amount of times that she got compared to her father, like how alike that they look.
They look,
Yeah.
She definitely felt like maybe she was should have been born a man or something like that sort of thing in those times.
Yeah.
Whereas and it's good to see her kind of like her interactions with Jon were always great when she was younger. You know what I mean? Like he gives her a needle, and that's a great moment for her. And that was an awesome relationship.
And I think it's a good moment for him as well because like most of the other Starks,
especially
Sansa.
Sansa's really bad to him.
Yeah,
I think like
Bran and Rickon didn't really have a chance.
They're pretty young.
Yeah,
Robb and Arya are kind of the two ones that he relates to the most.
Absolutely. But I think Arya more so because Robb kind of like fit in a little bit more, but Arya and Jon were both just kind of like, you know, misfits, kind of
Yeah.
the black sheep of the family.
Definitely they
I suppose like Arya was obviously more accepted because she was
an actual
full-blooded
Stark,
Stark.
Whereas John went through some the Walker, you might not know this, but in the books there's actually a scene where
fucking book readers.
This is really good. It gives you context because for instance, like you, in the show you see that like Catelyn Stark doesn't like Jon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But in the books it's even worse. Like she is an absolute bitch to him.
Yeah.
There's a scene where he goes to go say goodbye to Bran, and as he's leaving, she says, "Jon," and he turns around and looks her in the eyes, and she says, "It should have been you that fell off the tower."
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like
She's like that's how bad his home life is there,
Yeah.
and like. That's the reason he goes to the wall, because he can't go to King's Landing because he's a bastard, and he can't stay in Winterfell because his mum won't look after him. She says, no, you can't leave him here.
They don't really. That's definitely actually does show a lot. They don't explain that at all in the show. I was just thinking about that the other day. I felt like the way they sent him to the Watch was
it was kind of an honor thing for him as well. He wanted to.
They didn't portray that as well, though. I felt like they portrayed it more
not.
as like, "Oh, you're a bastard, so we don't want you here. Go to the Night Watch."
Yeah,
You know,
which is kind of how it was a bit.
Yeah,
but he had his uncle as well.
Yeah, Uncle Benjen. Yeah,
Bunkle
Engine. Bunkle.
Speaking of alleged uncles, one of my favorite bits of season 6 is Jamie riding upstairs toward the high.
Oh man, how great is that?
Seven.
Jamie on a horse going upstairs. Apparently in the filming it took them half an hour to get the horse to go back down the stairs. Because apparently getting horses to go downstairs is notoriously hard.
Yeah, it is. Same as some dogs have issue with it.
Yeah.
Jamie riding a dog confirmed. How do we feel about that whole? That was actually a really crazy part of this like scene to me, where she didn't have to do Marjorie didn't have to do the Walk of Atonement.
Yeah.
Because she had Tommen, and I was like
I think Marjorie definitely knows what she's doing.
Well, see, that's a big thing that me and my partner are talking about is she playing them? Like, is she's playing the fake?
She definitely 100%. Is, because she's got Lady Olenna. And she is.
She's
a player.
She is. Oh my god, Lady Olenna is like my heartthrob. Honestly,
I like at first I really thought she was going to play it. Like, at first I really thought she was going to play it. But when she went and seen Loras in the cell, and he was like, "I just wanted to be over, broken, just stop, let it go." I thought that maybe at that moment she broke, and she stopped playing the game.
It's interesting because to me that scene played out like I definitely get what you're saying. That could be it, but for me it played out a little bit differently. What I saw her, you know, like she was kind of staying resolute, and she was like, "Yeah, me and Loras are a team. We're gonna figure this out together." Then when she saw Loras is broken, she figured, this is all on me. I need to do something drastic here to save us. Yeah. So she's taken this drastic step of pretending that, you know, she's fallen for all this shit with the High Septon, you know, like all the faith and all this kind of stuff. But she's really working her way into a position of power with the High Septon so she can gain that trust and then overthrow it eventually. Yeah. She's playing the long game. And I think we've seen Marjorie be smart with these things, like taking over the role of the Queen from Cersei. Yeah. Like, there's no way. Like,
or not just that, not even just taking the role, but taking every opportunity she can
to take a dig at her and
take a dig at the fact that
saying like, "Oh, Queen Mother,"
virtually taking Tommen from her as well.
Yeah,
like
that was a great season 5 story.
Tommen is Cersei's last child.
It's the last thing that she has to the throne. Yeah,
and we know Cersei knows that Tommen will die according to the obviously correct predictions that the witch made.
That Maggie the Frog made in her past. Yeah.
So I definitely I'm kind of just hoping that she is playing the game.
Yeah, I think it's all going to come into play, and I think Tommen is eventually going to bite the dust because of this, and we're going to see the kind of realm go into a bit of a turmoil. It's going to be interesting to see who would ascend to the throne after Tommen dies.
That's the
there isn't a direct line anymore.
No. It goes into basically the strongest man claims it, and if it happens that he dies around the same time that Daenerys lands in Westeros, shit will hit the fan.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive cling for the throne.
Because like the Lannisters at that point, they don't have people like Tywin to guide them. Yeah. They've got pretty much at that point, they're left with Jaime because Cersei sucks.
They would just have brawn. They wouldn't have any brain. On their side kind of thing. Whereas Daenerys obviously has the brawn and she's got the brain with Tyrion. And Jorah as well, Sir Jorah. If he overcomes the grayscale and comes with her, he knows how Westeros works.
He accidentally got sunburnt. Draw a sunburn.
Draw the sunburn. Trying to vie for the unburn.
You know, like, they've done a great job with that grayscale, because every time I look at it, I think, that is gross.
Yeah.
I don't want to touch that or even look at it. It looks pretty like, ugh.
Well,
I
first
just
time I
can't
ever
believe
saw
he
it.
hit that for so long.
Looks like when you have like a bit of drool on your face that lasted overnight and you like peels off. You're like, ugh.
I can't say that's ever happened to me, but okay.
I mean,
yeah.
that didn't happen. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're the weird one here, Stephen. Kind of weird.
That was my phone.
Well, that's awesome. What kind of weird peely drool do you have?
Anyway, grayscale. Do we think there is a good cure to grayscale?
No, I think you just hold it. I don't think there's a cure. He's just gonna. I thought when he had it, I was like, why don't you just chop your arm off?
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Before it spreads some more.
Yeah, but I think they even said that like it's been known to develop even if you chop it off like instantly, kind of thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't really see that.
But that, we definitely know there is a cure because
Well, like at least
Shireen,
Shireen.
she holds it, like you can't reverse it.
She was born with it. Like,
Yeah, she wasn't born with it.
No.
She was given a toy.
Yeah, Trader had a
yeah.
toy with the house colours on it, and he bought it, and she put it to her face, and it spread from there.
Yeah.
And then they burned the toy, and it stopped.
Yeah.
Or some shit like that.
No, they used all these medicines, and pretty much what they learned was they used so many medicines that they actually didn't know what one stopped it.
Yeah.
Because they were just trying everything at once, and it stopped, but they didn't know what kind of combination of medicines made it stop. They just know that it did stop. So it kind of leaves hope for Jorah, and I think that I actually don't know where they're going to take Jorah's.
Well, I mean, look,
character.
the way that we look, if we're following the whole, he wasn't on screen, he doesn't die.
Yeah.
He's disappeared now. It's not even following him.
Yeah.
It's just, you go off and do that, then return to me.
Yeah.
So unless it actually follows him and has him killed off,
I think we could see something.
even then, I don't think he'll die. I think if he's going to die, he has to die in front of Daenerys.
Yeah.
She has to view it, otherwise it doesn't count.
Yeah, but now the more and more I watch that scene where she says like go like cure it and then come back to me and that kind of thing, kind of feels like one of those scenes like that. This is the last time they're gonna say.
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Like that. If you, but it could go either way, which is what I like about the show.
Speaking of returning characters, the Mountain and his return after his fight with Oberyn.
Franken Mountain.
Mountain. Yeah, that was creepy. Like he's like blue skinned, red eyed, demon looking crazy.
Yeah.
And then the guy's
Just
like,
looks high as bald all the fucking time.
He took
honestly.
Just smashes guys' heads into walls and shit.
Which
is a great throwback to like from the books of the Storming of King's Landing, like smacking Rhaegar's kid's head against the wall.
What are your thoughts on the way that they went about it? Because like I think obviously he's like a Frankenstein. He probably can't speak now.
He's taken out a vow of silence.
I felt like that guy said that in terms of to cover up the fact that if he were to speak, it would be like a gargled mass because he's like some kind of Frankenstein monster now.
There's a great scene in when Cersei and Jaime and the Mountain walk into the small council meeting, and Pycelle's like, we need to destroy that monster immediately.
Yeah.
and then he's like, can that abomination hear me? And he's like, oh yeah, he can understand you. He's like,
no.
Oh.
The better bit was when he was walking.
He
past
farted.
him.
Did you guys notice?
Yes. I thought that was like just the DVD.
Really?
Yeah, he farts. I'll show you it after we
the
finish.
Oh my god.
Dude, yeah. No, I legitimately thought that was just the
He
episode.
shits himself, literally.
I thought that was just a video I was watching, and I was like, wait, what?
I love Pycelle
I didn't
so
want to
much.
rewind it. I was just like, I'll just keep watching. I thought that was maybe just like a post-production fuck up. But yeah, he shits himself.
He legitimately like does a little shit.
Please show me.
We will.
We'll show you after.
So pretty much, guys, like where do I'm just gonna try and wrap us up here now. Are we happy with how this season's going and like are we feeling comfortable where we're heading right now in the show? You take us, Dana.
Absolutely. Like, I think the way that they're going about it is really, really good because there are obviously things that even book readers were surprised about, like Hodor, for example, like his whole thing. Like, that wasn't in the books. That hasn't been in the books yet. So we're all just like, what?
And there's new info coming at us straight away.
Yeah, and then so it's like, what else is going to happen that we don't already know about? Like, things that haven't already happened or things that have happened in the books that haven't happened yet that are crucial to the story. Lady Stoneheart.
Lady Stoneheart.
But yeah, like I'm really happy with the way that it's going. I haven't seen this week's episode yet. I'll probably watch that tomorrow. But
I can reveal that there are massive spoilers coming. Holy crap!
As far as the
it won't really be this week's episode by the time anybody watches this.
Yeah.
Either like last week's or something. So
Maybe I'll whisper what happens at
We
the
watched
end.
up to episode 6. That's as far as I'm
episode
at.
6. But yeah, like I'm happy with the way that it's going.
Yeah,
like
I can agree.
There's a bit of room for improvement.
Yeah, I was
No,
saying,
really, which is healthy, I think. I
Yeah,
think it's good for the show
absolutely.
to be striving for something all the time.
I was saying to Stephen, like, I felt that season 5 was setting everybody's stories up.
Yeah, it felt like down for me season 5 a little bit.
Yeah,
but
it was. I
the-
think it was
I-
necessary
It
though.
was very bland.
I
It was
think-
very
yeah.
blah.
In terms of
Coming
the
off
other
season
ones.
4, which was, to me was the best. You know, we
Yeah.
have Joffrey, we have Oberyn, we
Yeah.
have, the trials, we have Death of
Yeah.
Tywin, we have all that stuff coming
like
to the
season
forefront.
4 was just like bam, 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 bam.
Kind of felt like
all
it
the
cuddles
big
after the
things.
sex, like.
Yeah. Pillow talk.
Pillow talk.
Anyway, no, I feel like it was a needed season though. Like it had to set everybody up, especially people like
Yeah.
Arya and Sansa who needed to be set up
Yeah.
to do something big.
Yeah.
That was the thing that's happening now. I think season 6 is beginning to pay off, and we've had some crazy things.
Yeah.
The return of Snow.
And we're getting the Riverrun story played out now.
Yeah,
We're going to see
absolutely.
we're hopefully going to see a battle play out
Yeah, we will.
with the Blackfish. Yeah,
Yeah.
great character.
I think that it's on track for season 6 or 7 to be probably the best season.
Yeah.
Probably 7 will be
And-
like
and-
one of the best ones.
You can
Yeah.
tell. You can definitely tell we're coming towards the end of the show now. Things are very much coming to the forefront,
Yeah.
especially with Daenerys. I think we're seeing
Yeah,
her
the
finally
Dothraki
realize she's
people.
coming across.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see that very soon, very imminent.
Well, she now controls Drogon, which is the dragon she couldn't control.
Yeah, exactly.
She rode him to the Dothraki people.
And she's kind of given up on trying to rule Marine. She, in that last speech that she gave in episode 6, she's just pretty much saying, yeah, we're going to go conquer it now. Like, as soon as we get back, we're pretty much just going to get the ships and we're going to take off.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was like, I
So-
want my 1,000 ships. let's
very,
do
very
this.
much. And, John's left the wall, which was kind of, it was interesting storyline for him becoming a man kind of thing, but it was holding his storyline back as
No, it was.
his overall effect in the world.
He had to sit and
Yeah.
watch everybody else do everything.
Yeah, and he had to watch, hear about his family die and stuff, and he couldn't do
Yeah.
anything about it, which would have been fucking
But now-
destroying.
Yeah,
But I think
now
Aemon
he's
said
like
the same.
Now he's like a free man, so to say,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah.
can actually
whatever
go
he
and
wants.
fuck shit up.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Well, that pretty much wraps us up then, guys. Thanks heaps for joining us, Dana. Talk
No
Game of
problem.
Thrones
No problem. And veganism.
and veganism and warty
thanks.
penises.
Thanks for having
Which is
me.
Stephen's favourite part of the whole show so far.
Definitely.
Yours is the man butts.
Definitely not my favourite part, but it's definitely something that's going to stand out for the rest of my life.
Awesome. Then we've been Geek Gab, and that's our story, and we're sticking to it.
Vegans.
#Stannis lives.